Hello viewers, welcome to UN Digital class. In today's lecture, I am going to discuss about X.509 certificate. Now, let us start. Before going to the X.509 certificate, first of all we have to know about what is the requirement of X.509 certificate. Now, look at here. Here the certificate authority solves all the public key fraud problem. But there is some side effect. To avoid this side effect or to overcome this side effect, the X.509 come into the picture. Now look at the side effects. Here each certificate may have different format, which means suppose if Alice want to use a program to automatically download different certificates and digest belong to different people, the program may not to do this. Which means suppose Alice wants to use a program to automatically download the certificate of different people. In this case, the certificate have different format. For this reason, the program may not work to download the different certificate of different people, because one certificate may have the public key in one format and another certificate may have the public key in another format. That means the public key may be on the first line in one certificate and the public key may be in the last line in another certificate. For this reason, a single program cannot be used to download the different certificate of different people. So that anything needs to be used universally must have universal format. To remove this side effect, ITU has designed X.509, a recommendation that has been accepted by the internet with some changes. That means the certificate authority overcome all the problem of the public key fraud. But in certificate authority, there is some side effect, and the main side effect is that the certificate of different user has different format. For this reason, a single program cannot be used to download different certificate of different people. To overcome this side effect, X.509 is used, and here the X.509 provides a universal format for all these certificates. Next, what is X.509? X.509 is a way to describe certificate in a structured way, and it uses a well-known protocol, that is ANSI.1, which is called as Abstract Syntax Nation 1. That defines fields familiar to C program. Now look at the X.509 certificate format. In this figure, this is our X.509 certificate format. But here the hash algorithm is used, and this hash algorithm takes all fields of our X.509 except the signature field, and this hash algorithm creates a digest. Now this digest is taken as input to the signature algorithm, and here this signature algorithm uses the certificate authority private key to sign this digest, and after signing this digest, the signature algorithm creates the signed digest, and here this signed digest is signed by the certificate authority private key. After creating the signed digest, now look at the signature field. Here this signature field has 3 sections, and the first section is nothing but the first section contains all fields of our X.509 except this signature field, and here the second section contains the hash algorithm ID plus cipher ID plus parameter, and the third section contains the signed digest. That means in our X.509 certificate, the signature field has 3 sections, and these 3 sections is nothing but, that is, the first section contains the all other field of our X.509 certificate, and the second field contains the hash algorithm which is used to sign this certificate, and the third section contains the sign digest. Now look at here, when the signature field takes these fields, then the signature field applies the hash algorithm upon all these fields. After applying the hash algorithm, the signature field creates a digest. When the signature field creates the digest by using the hash algorithm, then this digest is compared with this digest, and this digest is retrieved by the signature field by decrypting this signed digest with the public key of the certificate authority, because this signed digest is signed by the private key of certificate authority, so that in the signature field the signed digest is decrypted by using the public key of the certificate authority. After decrypting this signed digest, then it generates the digest. Now this digest is compared with the digest which is created by our signature field. If both the digests are equal, that means there is no modification in the certificate, which gives a proof that the certificate is a valid certificate. But here you look at from the version number to the subject name. This is our version 1 of X.509 certificate. But from version number to subject unique identifier, this is our version 2 of X.509 certificate. But when we take from version number to signature, this is our version 3 of our X.509 certificate. This is all about the X.509 certificate format. Now, I am going to discuss each field of this certificate one by one. Now, look at the first field of our X.509 certificate format. The first field is version number. Here, this field defines the version of X.509 of the certificate. That means the version number started at 0 and the current version is 2. That means the current version is the third version. Next field is the serial number. Here this field defines the number assigned to each certificate. That means this serial number defines the serial number of the certificate, and the value is unique for each different certificate. Next field is signature algorithm ID. Here this field defines the algorithm used to sign the certificate. That means when the certificate authority creates a certificate, that certificate must be signed, and here this signature algorithm ID defines which algorithm is used to sign this certificate. Next one is issuer name. Here this field defines the certificate authority name. That means which authority issue this particular certificate. Next field is validity period. Here this validity period defines the validity of the particular certificate, and here this field defines the earliest time, that is the not before, and the latest time, that is the not after, which means the validity period of the particular certificate. Now look at the next field, that is the subject name. Here the subject name defines the username. That means the user which used this particular certificate. Now look at the next field, that is the subject public. This field defines the owner public key, the heart of the certificate. That means the subject public key field defines the username along with its public key. And here this field also defines the corresponding public key algorithm and its parameter. For example, the public key algorithm may be the RSA algorithm. Now look at the next field. Here the next field is issuer unique identifier, and this field is a optional field, and this optional field allows two users to have the same issuer field if the issuer unique identifiers are different. That means the issuer unique identifier, this field particularly defines the unique identity of the certificate author. Next one is the subject unique identity. Here this field is also a optional field, and this field allows to different subject to have the same subject field value, and if the subject unique identifier are different. That means this subject unique identifier field defines the unique identity of the user which uses the certificate. Next one is the extension field. Here this extension field is also an optional field, and particularly this field is used for some additional information. Now look at the last field, that is the signature field, which I have already discussed. Now here the signature field have contain 3 sections, and the first section contains all other field in the certificate, and the second section contains the digest which is signed by the private key of the certificate authority, and the third field, that is the last field, which contains the algorithm which is used for encrypting the certificate. Next, the third section, and here the third section contains the algorithm which is used to create the signed digest. This is all about the different field of our X.509 certificate. Next, certificate renewal. Here the certificate renewal is required when the validity period of the certificate expires. That means each certificate has a period of validity, and if there is no problem with the certificate authority issue a new certificate before the old one expires. That is called the certificate renewal. Next, certificate revocation. In some cases, certificate must be revoked before the expire date. Here are some examples. Now look at the first one. The user's private key might have been compromised, which means if the user private key is compromised, in this case the certificate revocation is required. Now look at the second case. The certificate authority is no longer willing to certify the user. That means the certificate authority which provides the certificate to the user, suppose that the certificate authority is not willing to certify that user, in this case the certificate revocation also required. Now look at the third case. The certificate authority's private key which can verify certificate may have been That means if the certificate authority private key is compromised, in this case the certificate revocation also required. That means for all these 3 cases the certificate revocation is required. The revocation is done by periodically issuing a revocation list or issuing a certificate revocation list, and the list contains all revoked certificates that are not expire on the date the CLR is issued. Next, when a user wants to use a certificate, the user first needs to check the directory of the corresponding certificate authority for the last certificate revocation list, which means suppose some user wants to revoke their certificate. For revoking their certificate, first of all they have to check the directory of the corresponding certificate authority for the last certificate revocation list. Now look at this figure. This figure shows the certificate revocation format, and here the certificate revocation format is similar to the certificate format, but there is some difference in certificate revocation format. And here look at the difference. The difference is that here the first field is signature algorithm ID, but in our certificate the first field is version. And here the revocation format contains the different field, that is the this update date and next update date and the revocation certificate. And look at the signature field, and the signature field is similar to the signature field of our certificate, that is the X.509 certificate. Here the signature field also contains 3 sections, and the first section contains all other field of the revocation format except the signature, and the second field contains the algorithm which is used for sign this certificate or this revocation certificate, and the third field contains this sign digest. Now I am going to discuss each field of this revocation certificate format one by one. Here the first field of the certificate revocation format, that is the signature algorithm ID. Here this field is same with our X.509 certificate signature algorithm ID. That means this signature algorithm ID field contains the algorithm which is used to sign our certificate. Next one is the issuer name. This field also same as with your X.509 certificate issuer name field. Here the issuer name field contains the name of our certificate authority which issue the certificate. Now look at the third field, that is this update date, and this field defines when the list is released. That means this update date defines our certificate renewal date. Next one is the next update date. This field defines the next date when the new list will be released, which means this next update date field defines the expire date of our renewal certificate. Now look at the next field, that is the revoked certificate. Here this is a repeated list of all unexpired certificates that have been revoked. That means this revoked certificate field contains all the revoked certificate. That means the revoked certificate 1 and revoked certificate 2. In this way it contains all the revoked certificate with their serial number. Next one is the signature field. Here this field is same as the one in your certificate signature, which I have already discussed. Next one is delta revocation. Here the delta revocation is to make revocation more efficient. The delta certificate revocation list, that is the delta CLR, has been introduced, and a delta CLR is created and posted on the directory if there are changes after this update date and the next update date. That means this delta revocation list is basically used if there is a changes after this update date and the next update. For example, if CLR issued every month but there are revocation in between, the CA can create a delta CLR when there is no change during the month. However, a delta CLR contains only the changes made after the last CLR, which means if CLR issued every month but in between the month, if there is any revocation is required, in this case the certificate authority create a delta CLR. This is all about the X.509 certificate, and in X.509 certificate this is nothing but this is a universal certificate format. And here we discussed about the X.509 certificate format and the renewal of certificate and the revocation of certificate. If you have any doubt regarding this X.509 certificate, then you can ask me through comment. I will discuss about your doubt. Thank you for watching.